Welcome back. Now let's get the show on the road since we have a full package for you this morning. The spate of insecurity across the nation has been of much concern to everyone. And some have stated that to rescue Nigeria from its myriad of insecurity challenges, there is need to reform the Nigeria police and suggest that even state policing will help solve this problem. The 8th Senate had said that state policing and proper funding of the police are the solutions to the banditry spreading across the nation. The 8th Assembly, before it came to an end, revealed a plan to begin the process of amending the Constitution to allow for the creation of state and community policing after deliberation on resolving the issues of insecurity. Now, it's my pleasure this morning to welcome a former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Fatai Owoseni. Good morning. Aptly, we would have a policeman to help us look at this issue. And we still expect Mr. Seyi Adetayo to join us in the course of this segment. Mr. Owoseni, when this issue of state policing first reared its head, there was talk that Nigeria was not mature enough for state policing. I didn't know what it meant at that time, and I still don't know what it means that we are not mature enough for state policing. Do you think Nigeria is ready for state policing?
Let me first say that it is not the number of autonomous forces or the extent of the command of centralization or decentralization of police that makes the police effective. How did we get here first? Prior to 1960, we had the Native Authority Police, and we also had the local government police. And
so we've been there before?
We've been there before. And a lot of things happened, the extent to which the regions, we had the 3 regions, the extent to which the regions abused the use of the Native Authority Police and the local government police. And specifically, in 1957, as of that time, you have those the NPC, that's the political parties controlling the north, and of course in the southwest we have the action group, and of course the east. The east opted, yes, the east opted for a federal police. The 2 other regions opted for a regional police, and minorities within the regions came up to say, what if we have regional police in those places, and you have a predominance of a particular tribe? I would take Benue State now as an example. As of today, you have more of Idomas in the police than the thieves. So that made them in 1957 to set up what they call the Minority Commission, which is the Willing Commission. And of course, those things, one of the things agreed to then was that no police force in Nigeria should, so far as its use and operational control, be under any political party. And that was what informed the creation of structure that the police, as it is, should have structure like the Police Council, the Police Service Commission, and the Police Council, as the Willing Commission then envisaged, that the Police Council will be made up of the president, who, after he must have won election, will be seen as the father of the nation, and that...
And not the father of a political party.
Yes, and that all the governors of the federating states will be members of the Police Council with the chairman of the Police Service Commission. And it was envisaged then, as we have now, that You cannot have an arrangement in the country where all the governors will belong to the same political party, because you will have different parties and each and one of them would have a voice. Then the Police Service Commission to now look at appointment, discipline, and promotion of officers of Deputy Inspector General of Police to the Constable. And then the Police Service Commission, as it was envisaged then, should have members that are not members of any political parties. They should be apolitical. That is to have a chairman, a member who will be a retired judge of the Supreme Court or the Federal Court of Appeal, a retired officer of the police who will not be less than the rank of Commissioner of Police, and members representing interest groups. A member representing the women interest, a member representing the media, a member representing the organized private sector, a member representing the civil society organization, not the one we have now that is made to look as if members are representing the geopolitical zone that we politicized it now. And that is to remove the police from the political control of any political party that is
in power.
This
is what the Winnings Commission had in mind. This was the picture they had in mind.
Yes.
From then till now, why is that picture not clear for everyone to see?
Just like we have everything in the country, that you have the laws that are dormant because we don't implement, we don't use one law before we create another one. Because trials have come in to test that arrangement. When in Anambra in those days, because those are the things that made people to be scared of having state police. In Anambra in those days, Bishop Eyitene was the commissioner of police, the whole Anambra, and Governor Jim Nwobodo had requested that he needed police security in the government house. And he gave the exact figure, the number of policemen required. And he also attached the names of the policemen that must be posted. And I think that case went to court. And it was said that, look, you as the governor, you can say, I want the government house to be covered. But leave the professional judgment as to the number of policemen that will be required and how to pick them, not attaching the list. So that was one of the days when those things was tested. Then in Edo State,
so what did the court rule?
The court ruled that the commissioner of police should be given the prerogative of professional judgment with regards to who and who that should go there. The same thing happened in the whole Bender State. The late Ambrose Ali, when the president Shagari wanted to visit, there were issues. The states were saying, no, president, you cannot come. Just as we also have it recently now, where you will even see that, I think in River State it had happened, where you will even see that at occasions, senators or House of Rep members or someone or ministers will go to their state with some police escort, and you will see that the policemen attached to a governor in the state, they'll be fighting. So you will not have state police, we are already having that. And those are the issues that we're looking at. But above all, even the system we're trying to copy, American system, the British system or whatever, after the 9/11 thing, America also, tend towards a federal control. Yes, that is why the Patriot Act and the Homeland Security thing were created then.
Okay, Mr. Owoseni, we will take a moment, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. What you've just picked up here will get a lot of people wondering what exactly you're talking about, because the Homeland Security Department is still there, but you still have the different policing structures in the counties, in the states, and then you still have the federal. So we'll get back to looking at details of all of that in a moment. Please join us again. Welcome back, Sunrise. We're still talking the state police matter, and we've been joined by Shea Adeta, Regional Vice President of Assist International. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Permit me to ask, what's Assist?
Okay, before it used to be American Society for Industrial Security, but it became global. It's now in all over the whole world, so they can't call it American Society anymore. So they now shorten it to Assist International. We are actually going through a process of, change of name. We have a 5 years plan because it already is a brand. You cannot just change a brand overnight. So that's what by next year, a new global name, a name that reflects global status of the association will. But it's the largest body for security experts globally.
Okay, so welcome. Before we come to you, Mr. Owoseni was talking about something. So, Mr. Owoseni, let me come back to you. The matter you raised earlier about after the 9/11 matter, how the Homeland Security Department came up, and the tendency to look as though they are going towards centralizing policing in the U.S. again. Is that really true? How about the other units that all they cover security?
You know, what you have in the United States of America first is not the kind of state police we're canvassing here. It's more of a local government thing, and they are more engaged in traffic control. That is one. Then second, everything we want to do copycat. American federalism is centripetal. Ours is centrifugal. You first have to unburden the federation. You cannot put something on nothing. You don't copy from a system that is different from your own. Centripetal in the sense that you have those political entities that decided to come together as a federation. In our own case, centrifugal in the sense that you have a political entity that's spread. And if we don't have the same system, you cannot now adopt their own system. And that is one of the areas where we're getting it wrong. And just like we've always been saying, that it is not who control or how many police forces. If you have state police that you don't fund, that you don't give the tools to perform, it will still be the same thing.
Again, but there are those who argue that all the funds that the police has received, can they account for them?
I think the oversight bodies are there. But I can tell you, for 35 years that I spent in the police, maybe at the earlier period, somehow the police was given place of priority. I said it here on Monday, but I met the Nigeria Police Force where kits and accoutrements were provided for the personnel. I met a police force that if you are transferred, this 28 days allowance thing, you will have a place to stay. Now you are transferred, nobody bothered about you. We had a police force where you had police dogs that were used for detective purposes, that were well fed. You had a police force that the banks, the corporate bodies even would come and poach experts, handwriting experts and all those things from Alagba. But at a point in time, the fund wasn't forthcoming. If, as of today, previous IGs have come out to say that even if you appropriated money to the police today, maybe 25% of it will be released. What do you do with that? We said it here before. What do you want a police divisional officer that is appropriated 30,000 naira quarterly to do with that? Some people feed their dog with more than 30,000 naira, for God's sake.
Okay, Mr. Adetaya, a bleak picture he has painted, but also pointed to the fact that he's saying we don't need a state police for the police to function. We need a police that is well funded. But you don't look like you agree.
Okay, let me start by saying that we've had this conversation before now, and I know where he stands, and you know where I stand on this. See, the truth is this: is expected of Ismaoga, of them, because when you are part of a system, there's this you want to be conservative.
You said were you in the police force?
No.
Okay, all right.
Is he wrong in his assertion about the police he met and the police that is there now?
No, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, but I need to say this that state police is not the solution, but it's part of the solution. So we need to actually get it right. The fact that we are putting state police in place does not mean that the problem will go away. It will still be there, but it will reduce the challenges that we're having today. He made mention of some things about, in those days when you are transferred and you need to be paid 28 days. For crying out loud, if it is a state police, do you need to be transferred to another state? That cost will be out of it.
But you're transferred within the state.
Within the state.
Yes.
So those costs will be out of it.
There are some costs attached to it.
Still be there.
Yes. No, it will even be there. It will be there.
It will still be there. You have moved from Ibadan to Shaki now with your family. You still have to settle that. For God's sake.
Yes. See, it's important for us to look at it from the angle of the criminal justice system. It's hurting us. It's hurting the criminal justice system. I said something recently about, so many cases that we have in court today, that the case has been messed up because the officers that are handling it, probably they've been taken out of that state to some other states. And the court continue to call out this case. There's nobody, no prosecutor on ground. And then before you know it, it's somebody that has been arrested for kidnapping or is being prosecuted for, and one way or the other, for lack of diligent prosecution, the court will throw the case out. Or at the end of the day, those that will take over will just do a shorter job, and at the end of the day, you see somebody that's supposed to be in jail or serve capital punishment is there receiving less or lesser sentence. You see, there are a whole lot of things around this that even if you sit down here for the whole day, that will not be able to finish. But where I want to go on the issue of the state police is this. Look at the size of this country. Nigeria is getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day. It's issue whereby you want to continue to maintain a whole system. And the situation that brought this then is no longer the same as it is today. The size of the population and even of the police force that we're talking about here is so huge. And we are not even there yet. You see, the United Nations recommendation stipulates a particular number of policemen to a particular number of citizens to be covered. We are not there yet. And when you have a situation whereby it takes control to come all the way from Abuja, then, you start cascading, it down. It takes a whole long time. And I'll give you an example of my experience while I was still in the service. You see, he made mention of Anambra State. Yeah, Anambra State is very peculiar when it comes to, the way the politicians there. But I've seen a situation whereby in a particular community, they had a dispute. So they took the matter to the DPO. It's the dispute between the President General and the Igwe of the town. Now, they took the matter to the DPO. The President General believed that the DPO is siding the Igwe, so he took the matter to the area commander. So the Igwe now went beyond the area commander to the CP. Now, the President General now moved beyond the CP to the AIG. Now, the Igwe now took the matter beyond the AIG to the DIG Ops and then to the IG. This matter dragged it. Do you know how we eventually solved it? We solved it at the local government level. I was there at that time. I had a meeting with the local government chairman then, and we resolved. And she had a discussion with the governor, and the governor instructed that this DPO should be removed because everything centered on the DPO, and the matter resolved. I don't want to mention the name of the town. If I mention it, people in that community who can attest to what I'm talking about. You see, we need a situations where the state governor should be able to have a final say over how security is being managed in a state. If you say, yeah, we'll raise the issue of fund, but it will cost us less. If police
that means operations of the security apparatus.
Yeah, in terms of security of the state now.
Yeah,
I'm not talking of the running of the police, because everything at the end of the day will still be subsumed. Even in the United States that we made mention, there's still a body that supervises the police in those counties and structures there. That still, they are like police, like we have the police council. They still have, and the governor is just the political entity that, at the end of the day, whatever their recommendations, and they still have the attorney general that handles the issue of state attorneys that still handles the. So you see, we cannot wait until we have 100% federal
How would this
no,
work?
but I
coming
want to come in.
Before I will come to you, would this work where we still have a commissioner of justice and the attorney general occupying the same office, one person handling the two?
That is another. But see, we need to understand that it's not only the state police that we're talking about today. The issue of also the attorney general and the commissioner of police issue is also on the plate as well. Then we still have the issue of the surgeon general and whatever. You see, all these things that there, and until we actually sit down and look at this whole thing and say, for better implementation of all these things, we just need to start doing things the right way. Now, the question is, what if Lagos State is a country of its own? Won't it have a separate police? We have countries that are smaller than Lagos State, and they have Inspector General of Police that are managing it. You see, we should not, it's high time we begin. And you see, we need to look inward too. Here, I've said it that the private security sector, if we can take advantage of this area, it will reduce our costs. And this is what is going on. You see, the police in Los Angeles, in NYPD, LAPD, they are not the only one covering the whole, their whole territory. The private security sector are helping. There are areas where they cannot, they have, like malls, they have their own security that have been provided by the private sector. So we have coverage everywhere. So what they do is that the police now steps in.
In Nigeria,
Yes.
the police guards malls. They guard areas, places of worship, Christian and Muslim. The police guard individuals. You mentioned the American system, but it does not apply out there where you have the private security people handling malls, handling religious private security, handling executive protection and all that. But that's not the situation here. So that puts pressure on the police force.
That's one of the things we should address, the use to which the police is put. But on what he has said, maybe because I was there, I still challenge most of our executive governors. The governors have the control of the police in their states. Areas where you have disagreement is where you want probably to use the police for what is not supposed to be. If you have rule of law properly enforced, there would not be any conflict. I was commissioner of police in 2 states, and there was no time that once even the Constitution put it, that once it has to do with issues of security, when governors come out to say they don't have control, is on another thing. I want to tell you that. That is number one. Then secondly, we have a semblance of state police already. There is no state police command. If you go and check, I think in between 75 to 80% of the personnel in each of the state command are from that state, especially the foot soldiers. We already have it. Okay. And that is why we're saying that, look, what we should be looking at is, let us accept that we have ungoverned spaces. We've not accepted that yet. What are ungoverned spaces? A large expanse of land, the bush, all those forests that you don't have presence of government. The only presence of government you have are the police posts. At the moment, because we don't have enough personnel, some of the police posts, the village posts, because we have all those things graded, we cannot man them presently. Deploy technology to those ungoverned spaces.
Ungoverned spaces?
Yes.
You cannot classify the expressway, for instance, or the road between Abuja and Kaduna as ungoverned spaces, can you? They're highways.
That is the area of funding. If, as we're talking now, we're talking of insecurity and security, would you tell me that in between Lagos and the Ibadan Express Road, or in between Abuja and Kaduna, if you have at the distance of, say, 20 kilometers, 4 patrol vehicles with policemen and enough tools and what to motivate them to crisscross, you will see the areas in the bush where the kidnappers run to. If you have something like a drone or CCTV to cover those places. You will cover all those things. In some of those other countries, you don't even beg people. In malls, you see CCTV cameras and everything. All those things add up.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. I want to raise two issues concerning what is said. Number one, as at the time you left Lagos, many of us weren't happy because we're enjoying your time. And I know that if we have, like a proper state structure, the way you left, you wouldn't have leave, because that would have been prevented. Because we know what happened after you left. And I'll give an example. You see, we had some monitoring teams that reports to Abuja that even the State Commissioner of Police couldn't even control. We had situations where tried to get the intervention of the CP to attend to the matter, and the CP said those boys don't talk, they don't take orders from them. You see, things is a little bit better now with this new IG and the way things compared to what we experienced when he left Lagos. So when we are saying that we are the people, you were in the police, you might not be able to say some things, but we understand what went, what is happening. So until we have put the right thing in place where the state will be able to have control. If you have a board responsible, one SP or CSP will not say it's taking order from Abuja.
So what you're talking about
nobody
now
can
is appropriate systems that actually run.
Yes.
Where the rules work. It is when you have someone sitting down there who refuse to follow the extant rules. The police rules and regulations are clear. And that is why the issue of the federal SARS thing being made a monster came in.
Let's see if we can respond to some questions here by viewers. John Alex says, I think the problem of the police is corruption and lack of creativity. I know the police has a lot bigger budget than the military. How does the military manage their budget and get things done? How do they build barracks, pay allowances, etc., that the police cannot do?
One, I must tell you that the military budget is far, 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 far higher than that of the police. And that is also plus the fact that the police has more number of people.
Okay.
So you must know that.
For Larry said, the very potent problem we have as a third world country is poverty. If you don't wipe it away, most of what we do, hoping the panacea would simply be mere aesthetics. Decentralize the whole system and ensure quality prevails. That's into the line of what
I didn't get that. Yeah.
That's coming from Polarian.
Decentralize.
Bab Salam says decentralize and make sure everything works.
Exactly. So that's just the talking point. That's the issue. We need to decentralize for us to have the better results.
I will agree with you, even if you decentralize and you are going to provide the tools. But all the reorganization committees that have been formed, you have the MD Yusuf, you have the Damadami, you have the DIG Pari signed the report, they have white papers. None had been implemented. All these things had been addressed. They have come out to say, let the police council work.
Okay.
If you have a police council that work, this issue of even having state police will not be there. But you have a police council now that is only when an IG is appointed and is going to be confirmed that it's met. They may not meet in 2 years.
Owoseni, I got to cut you. I'm sorry, we completely run out of time. Thank you very much for coming. Former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Fatai Owoseni, and Mr. Sheyi Adetayo, Regional Vice President, ASAS International. ASIS International. Thank you very much. We never have enough time. Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation. Please join us.